You are now tuning in to Discover Your Potential with radio talk show host Dan Gilman, Cindy Gilman's son. So listen, participate, be inspired, know that you can discover your potential. Here he is, Dan Gilman.
Welcome to Discover Your Potential. I'm your host, Dan Gilman, and today we have a very special guest, Diana Lockett. Diana is a visionary heart leader with a gift for awakening women to realign their purpose, relationships, and work. Her Realign to Thrive transformational coaching uses her superpower of creating safe and unconditional spaces to invite her clients to experience all parts of themselves through a lens of loving acceptance, inner wisdom, and great potential. The immediate outcome of the new imprint results in accessing increased courage, clarity, self-love, and self-awareness to design the life of their dreams. She's a 3 times international best-selling author, transformational speaker, and communication consultant for speakers looking to amplify their presentation skills. I want to welcome Diana. Hi, Diana. It's so good for you to be here and discover your potential. And I know my mother would have loved to have met you.
Thank you, Dan. There's a part of me that would have loved to have met your mother, and I feel her energy and her presence through you. And so thank you very much for having me here and giving me that experience.
Well, thank you so much.
Mm.
What was your life like as a child, and what motivated you to become a transformational speaker?
So we have a bit of a backstory, and the backstory is, I came from a home where my parents did the best they could, given their resources and their capacity to deal with life. But their life was difficult because my mother had 4 children under the age of 2 and no support. If I go back to my very early days, my mother wasn't expecting to birth twins, which I was a twin. Those days, there were no ultrasounds or ways to tell. They didn't hear 2 heartbeats, I guess. So the day we were born, she was in shock. I imagine a bit of a trauma. And then she had to go home and take care of our older toddlers, so 1 and 2-year-old. And my father had to return to work. So my sister and I were kept in the hospital for up to, we think, 3 weeks in incubators separately. So when I think back about some of the primary needs that we have for our health and well-being, the need of attachment, of healthy attachments, that would have been severed right from the very, very beginning for me. Now, I went through life where I had a lot of my basic needs met, but I was in a home with abuse, physical abuse, extreme neglect, and then when I got older, sexual abuse.
Sorry to hear that.
I thank you for that. And I believe that everything that I've gone through has been to give me the strength, the perseverance, and the skills to be able to support other people on their spiritual journey. I ended up going into an amazing career as a speech and language pathologist, and I've done that for 32 years. And as I wrote my first book, Ignite for Female Changemakers, in the winter of 2020, just before COVID hit, I followed the breadcrumbs of my life and realized that as a child, it wasn't safe for me to use my voice. My voice was essentially shut down. And yet I went into a career to help other people to amplify their voice, to find their voice. My work has been primarily with nonverbal children who are either on the autism spectrum or developmental delays, cerebral palsy. And I continue to support those kids now from this perspective of where I'm sitting now. I support those kids in orphanages in Africa. So nonverbal kids in orphanages in Africa, I provide them with communication systems and devices so they can have a voice. So everything that I went through as I followed the breadcrumbs of my life led me to where I am today. And it was at the age of 32 that I felt this like knocking at my soul, like something was telling me to wake up. I had a great career. I had an amazing daughter. I had a beautiful home. I traveled 3 times a year. I had the car. I had a husband that, wasn't the most loving relationship, but we were friendly. And something was trying to wake me up. And so I went on my journey at the age of 32 to really figure out who I am, what do I value, what is my purpose, why am I here, What do I want to leave in the world? What is my legacy? Which, by the way, I believe is the way that we live from our heart every moment of our life, not something that's in the future. And what does it all mean for me? So I started on a healing journey with energy healing, did some work with spirit healers. I started discovering yoga, and that became a change maker in my life because I had lived very disembodied. It wasn't safe for me to be in my body because my body was physically abused. So I learned to check out very early on. And I lived very successfully from this place in my mind. My mind had created a really successful life for me, but I didn't really feel life. I just experienced it from my mind. So I started yoga and breathing and moving and meditating all together. And it brought me to places of feeling that I didn't realize were even capable. So very quickly, I became a yoga teacher. I became a yoga teacher trainer. So I started my own teacher training academy in 2010 to teach others to be yoga instructors. And I saw the transformation happen before my eyes, which is just always such a privilege, of people connecting to their hearts, healing their traumas, and being able to open up to see their purpose. And healing happened in the community. So it wasn't one-on-one, it was community-based, creating heart-centered communities, which in Sanskrit we call kula, community of the heart. I realized quickly that these teachings, which were really based on Eastern philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, tantric philosophy, somatic work, mindset changes, all of the teachings, and very strongly based on communication, because that's my background, communication, that became a big part of what I do. How do we create a new narrative for ourselves? How do we recognize the way that we're communicating with ourselves that's limiting us, that's defeating us? How do we become conscious in our communication with ourselves and with each other? How do we share truth? How do we share withholds? How do we share triggers when we're in triggered states? How can we communicate in a way that is uplifting, conscious, and creating better relationships with ourselves and with others? And so, as I did this in my yoga teacher training program, I continued to work as a speech pathologist and then realized there's a lot of people that will never come to my practice as a speech pathologist, that will never come to a yoga mat, but they need to experience what's possible in their lives. And so I started my coaching career from that.
That's unbelievable. So,
Mhm.
when did you meet Les Brown? I know there's that connection with Les, and I want to also talk to you about ignite the hunger in you
Mhm.
with your collaboration with Les Brown. But when did your journey take you, and how did your journey take you to Les Brown? Just curious about that.
Yeah, Dan, there's times in our lives where the right people just sort of drop in at the right time.
No, I know that.
And right, and my journey started when I met JB Owen, who is the founder of Ignite Publishing. And I met her in the fall of 2019, and she had just launched maybe her second or third book. They've since done 17 books, all international bestsellers. So kudos to them. And JB and I connected pretty instantly, but I kind of put the connection out of my mind. She invited me to write the book Ignite Female Changemakers, which is a compilation of 50 international female changemakers around the world. It was a beautiful compilation of women from all over this planet. And initially I thought, well, maybe, and then I got busy doing other things and I came back to it. And what I realized is that there were stories in me that needed to be told. And I had been on a journey of writing my own book. And, you know, with a lot of humility, I say I'm still doing that. Like I still haven't released my solo book. Hopefully it's coming soon. But I had been on a journey of writing and I found writing effortful. Like it took a lot of effort for me to sit down and write a chapter. And yet when I sat down to write this book, Ignite Female Changemakers, the story came through me. Like somebody else gave me the words and I simply typed them. And I closed my computer and I put it away. And it happened in about 20 minutes. And I put it away. And this is where the day before, I didn't even know what I would be writing about. And the next morning, woke up at 6 a.m. and started writing. It was literally open the computer, start writing, Diana. I was told that the words would come to me. So I started writing and I closed my computer. And I waited about a week to look at the story again, right around the time that I was going to meet with the first editor. And I reread my story and I went, whoa, there's a lot of authentic, very personal truths in this story that I've never shared in the world.
Mm.
So I went back and forth about how much I wanted to share, how much truth I wanted to be in there, and the impact of what that would be on my family and on myself. So I sat down with my kids first and I told them what was going to be released in the story, made sure they were okay. And then I watched the editors. And we go through 3 editing processes in this experience. And I sat there and watched the editors and I thought, okay, I'm waiting for their reaction. I'm waiting for something in them that's going to say, Diana, this is too much information. And I didn't get that. What I was met with was love and acceptance and celebration. And I thought, okay, the world needs to hear this. So I realized in that moment that I am a writer. And I
Mm.
had been doing speaking, coaching, yoga teacher training, speech pathology. The last thing I wanted was another role to play. But I realized that my writing was one of the ways that I was going to be able to make a difference in the world. So that book got released in May 2020. I wrote another one in May 2020. I wrote another one that got released in May 2021 called Ignite Possibilities, which was a beautiful, beautiful compilation as well, with many of my friends that joined me in that one.
Oh.
And then we had the invitation put out to the community to do a book with Les Brown. Well, to me, that was a no-brainer. I had been following Les for many years. And as
Mm.
COVID hit, I had gone through a really deep grief-filled period of my life where my husband of 15 years chose to leave our relationship. My father died of COVID. My cat of 16 years died, and my daughter moved across Canada. And this happened within
Oh.
a few months. And I managed really well because I had tools. Thankfully, I had so many tools. I got up every day and I did meditation and I did journaling and I did movement and I called my coaches. I worked with my therapists. And then it got to a point where I couldn't work on this anymore. I needed to fully surrender to it.
Mm.
I needed to have an experience with my grief that was going to help me to heal not just the current grief, not just the collective grief, which, by the way, we're still going through with this incredible pandemic, but with the grief of my childhood and my young adulthood. And so I gave myself the opportunity to build a relationship with my grief that was extremely conscious and loving. And every time that I fell to my knees, because that's what my grief told me to do, I
Mhm.
heard Les Brown's words, and his words were, when you fall down, fall on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And so, having gone through this journey, and then JB, who became a friend, said, yeah, we're going to be writing this book with Les. I was like, I'm in. I'm so in. What people don't realize is the incredible gift that I was given through that journey was I got to work with Les every single week, where I became the right-hand person to JB to support her in the relationship with the authors, because she became so busy. She said, Diana, can you help me? It's like, absolutely. What do you want me to do? She said, every Tuesday we have author interviews with Les. Could you coordinate those? Could you
Mm.
be present to them? Could you just make sure everything flows? And so every Tuesday, I got to sit in the presence of greatness. Les
Oh.
Brown always says, you have greatness in you. I
Yes.
have greatness in me. He has immense greatness in him. And I literally sat there and I watched him. I watched him just unpack this magic from inside his heart to
Mm.
deliver it to the authors week after week after week for about 12 weeks. And so I feel so blessed that I had that opportunity. And I've been in his presence week after week after week and allowed his greatness to just drip into me so that I can give back into the world.
Yeah, he's quite a legend,
Absolutely.
and just a powerful. He's got so much energy, and he's incredible. Can you tell us more about the book? I know it's being released soon.
Hmm. Yeah.
Ignite the hunger in
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So the book is called Ignite the Hunger in You, and the release date is December the 6th. If anybody wants to pre-order a copy of the book, I believe we'll have a link somewhere, right, Dan, for that?
Correct.
So you can
It's right
pre-order the
below
book.
there.
Perfect. There you go. For $1.99, you can preload the e-copy of the book. And then it'll be available. You can pre-order the hard copy on Amazon and wherever you get your books from, and it will be available December the 6th. And the really amazing thing is all of the authors, so there are 36 of us in this book, and all of the authors will be coming together with the legendary Les Brown to do a summit on December 9th, 10th, and 11th. So it's a 3-day summit.
Yes.
And in that summit, all the authors are going to share their stories, their messaging, their little nuggets that are going to help to inspire the world. And of course, Les is going to come on and do some keynotes for us. So that's going to be a really exciting 3 days. I would love for people to be able to come to that. It's free, completely free. However, if you would like to have a lifetime access to it, receive a free hard copy of the book, an opportunity to receive some free coaching with Les and JB through a contest, and like thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars of gifts that each of the authors is pouring in to give, to donate to the community, then you can connect with me and I'll give you a link where that's a $179 offer. It's called our Diamond Package. People can receive it for $69.
That's great.
And yeah, it's an incredible opportunity. So my life is just, it's moved to a place beyond what I could have imagined 2 years ago, where I was living, a pretty sweet, quiet life on a conservation property, doing some one-on-one coaching, doing my yoga teacher trainers, meeting some incredible local people, to now having an international community, coaching internationally. And now my focus is really on integrating all of my experiences and my gifts, where I am bringing transformational communication coaching to speakers, presenters, teachers, people who want to step up and teach from their voice and from their heart, but lack confidence, lack skill. Maybe they have accents that are preventing people from understanding them, which happens a lot. And so I help people to find their unique voice and delivery that allows them to be heard and met and received from whomever their audience might be.
Yeah, I do want to mention too, the summit's actually going to be broadcasted right on this network on kpmedia.tv. So it's going to be truly amazing. It'll be on Amazon, Roku, Apple TV, and we're really looking forward to seeing everybody there.
Yeah, it's going to be quite exciting. It's all of these experiences have been just unbelievable. And it began the day that I said yes. When JB said, "You want to be in this book?" And I it took me a while to say yes. I put it out of my mind, but then I came back and I said yes. And then as offers come to me, I say yes. Would you like to support us? Can you support us? Yes. And now this yes is going towards supporting these beautiful children in an orphanage in Africa, in Uganda. And that is just the most unbelievable spiritual experience of how that came to me. I don't know if we have time to share that, but I first resisted that. So I was part of a coaching organization, and they were giving a free, they were asking people to submit a video application to receive a grant to serve a project of their choice. So I was invited to do this video application. I picked up my phone and I thought, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask to use this grant to be able to finish and publish my book so that I can donate 1,000 copies to women around the world who need to feel their spiritual essence and power. I was so convicted and believed that that was what I needed to do. And as I turn on my phone, I get this little voice inside me, I call it my spirit, higher self, whatever it is, said to me, Diana, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to ask for these grants, these funds to be able to use to support nonverbal kids. That's your life. That's your life purpose. And I literally had an argument with my higher self. I was like, if you can think of like two people, it's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. And my higher self said, no, do this. In the end, I gave in because I trust. I said yes. And I recorded myself. And my video ends with, and my intention and my belief is that all children deserve a voice. And so I want to use these funds to be able to provide communication systems and services to children who do not have access to supports and services and are nonverbal for various disabilities. And I ended up submitting it. It felt amazing. And I won this really big grant. And so my next problem became, what do I do? Where are these kids? How do I find them? because we live in North America, and North America, the education and the healthcare system, child and youth services, provide funding for people like me to go into the schools, hospitals, homes, centers, and support kids. And I've been a consultant for 20 of my 32 years doing this.
Hmm.
And within about a week, I was contacted by an orphanage in Uganda called the Love for Kids Orphanage. It's loveforkidsorphanage.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was contacted by them to be able to provide financial support for food. That is their primary need. All of the orphanages in Africa right now, they have no access to funding because the funding came through churches for most of them. Churches shut down for COVID. And I said to them, listen, I would love to support you, but there's the part of me that wants to make sure the funds go where they say they're going to go.
Mhm.
Here's what I'd like to do first. Do you have any nonverbal kids? And they said, well, in fact, we have 3. I said, I'd like to meet them. So we did a video meet and greet. I met the kids. And to me, it was clear one of them is developmentally delayed, one of them is autistic, and one of them is a young teenage girl who I believe is holding trauma in her body, and she's elective mute because of it.
Mm.
So I started communicating with them and working with them to create communication systems. It took a while because remember, their primary need is funding for food and medicine. And I'm here asking them, well, can you put a little bit of time aside to help develop these skills? And I'm going to coach you. I'm going to teach you how to do it. And then eventually, just a few weeks ago, I was able to send them a massive package, a box that included a communication system for each child where they press a button and the device communicates for them. It's like a low-tech device that we use, and it communicates for them. So now these kids have a voice.
Wow.
I also sent in a whole,
extraordinary.
I know, I sent in tons of shoes. I did a shoe drive in my community, and I, paper and coloring crayons. And then I started a GoFundMe page to be able to get them funding for their just food and medicine. They have since set up their own PayPal page. If you go to their website, you'll see that. And I'm really committed to wanting to support nonverbal kids wherever they need my support. So that orphanage, in a sense, their communication is complete. The kids have the systems, the staff know what to do.
Mhm.
And now I'm ready to move on to the next one. And the next one came to me just as effortlessly, where it was an organization in Swahili, which is Central Africa. And it's an organization that doesn't it's an orphanage that doesn't house the kids for sleepover, but it's where the kids who are orphans go for education, for learning, and they're also learning how to be self-sufficient in terms of farming. And they sleep in various homes in the community, but they come together every day in this center. And they have 7 or 8 kids. So I'm just in the process of getting to meet them. It's a long process to get this done, but I'm super excited that this is my why. This is my big why, is how
That's
do I
amazing.
give back from these 32 years of this amazing career? How do I bring this out through my heart as my transformation into the world?
I'd also love to talk about Realign to Thrive.
Mm.
And I know, are you still doing the Facebook Lives? It's the heart-centered conversations with heart-centered leaders, right, from around the world. And I think that sounds so amazing. I'd love to hear more about that.
You've done your research. Yes. So my program is called Realign to Thrive. And last year during lockdown, I did Realign to Thrive with Facebook Live, which was conversations that I had every Friday with heart-centered leaders from all over the world. So I started with my heart-centered coach, who is the founder of Heart IQ in Amsterdam, Christian Pankhurst. I had JB Owens on. I had tons of celebrities on, and as well as local coaches, people that had an intention to share their heart openly, authentically, with the intention to help other people know that they're okay. Whatever we're going through, we're all going to be okay. And so I have paused it. I paused it for the summer, got so busy with this book project, which has taken tons of time, but I am looking to revive it in 2022. And my Realign coaching program, the Realign is an acronym. And it starts with REAL because my deepest longing is that we can all return to our authentic states of light and love. It's who we are.
Oh, wow.
Right. But I know that you know Wayne Dyer.
Very
I
much
know
so,
your
yes.
mom knew Wayne Dyer. And I was privileged to be in the presence of Wayne Dyer several times, where,
Oh,
by
wow.
the way, the entire time I was in his presence, I bawled my eyes out. And I don't even know why.
He was
But he
extraordinary.
He was extraordinary. And he said that the day we were born, our parents looked up at the heaven and said, "Thank you, God, I'll take it from here." And they started to imprint us and imprint us energetically and emotionally, and implant cognitively, mentally, subconsciously, all of their beliefs. Now, they do this because that's what was done to them. So there's no blame. I don't blame my parents for anything. In fact, spiritual path is the path of radical acceptance and forgiveness. And I've done that path, and I continue to do that path anytime I need to do that path. And it's not an easy path, by the way. It's much easier to blame. So I really believe everybody's doing the best they can, given their model of reality of the world and their capacity in the moment, which changes from moment to moment. So the Realign protocol is about coming back to your authentic state. So we become real, R-E-A-L, in Realign. We become real. And it starts with the R, which is remember. Remember who you are. Remember that you're a miracle. Every single one of us, you and me, Dan, we're miracles. Everyone listening, because statistically, we should not be here. And depending on the research, it's 1 in 400 million, billion, or trillion chances. Every research is different. Statistically, it's 0, and we're here. That makes us nothing short of a miracle. And not in spite of everything we've gone through, but because of everything we've gone through, we have the privilege of being seated here right now, having this conversation. And I really believe that. So the first R is to remember who we are, to remember that we are essentially goodness in our hearts. And when we remember that not only is that our truth, but it's everybody's truth. And again, everybody does the best they can given their model of reality. So here's the path of radical acceptance and forgiveness. And it's not an easy path. I just want to reiterate that. The EAL is the embodiment work that I do. So E is explore your body. These are the sensations that we explore in the body. And sensations are the language of the body. And we start looking at the parts, because so often people will identify by their emotional state. I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm happy. When the reality is those are just labels. So if we look at the sensations in our bodies, we can start to explore and really get more intimate with how we're doing in any moment, moment by moment. And the research shows that within 90 seconds, when we identify a sensation in the body, I notice my heart is beating fast. I notice my hands are clenched, my shoulders are tight, my belly's relaxed, my palms are warm. Whatever the sensation is, in 90 seconds, it can start to shift. And so that quickly, we can go from a thought to an emotion to a sensation. And a lot of coaching misses the sensation piece. So people will go thought to emotion to behavior, back to the belief or the thought. And I add the sensation in between. So belief to thought to emotion. The limbic system in the emotion then creates a physiological response. That's the sensations that you're feeling. And from there, if we attend to them compassionately, kindly, without judgment, then we can start to change how we experience ourselves and the world in that moment. And these are moment by moment practices that when we practice enough, we can be in the middle of an argument, take a moment, take a breath. And by the way, my second chapter with Ignite was called Breathe and Everything Changes. And I believe in that, like physiologically, neurologically, breath can change everything. We can go from fight or flight to calm, rest, and digest. So we feel our breath, feel our bodies, what's going on. And then the E is explore, A is allow it to be. In other words, don't judge it. A is acknowledge and allow, and the L is to let it be. So acknowledge is giving it language. I'm aware that a part of me, remember we're speaking in parts, not the totality. A part of me in this moment is feeling this. So there's a sense of non-attachment with all of those. Remember, explore, acknowledge, and let it be. And then when we can get a few rounds of that in, there's 3 things that come up with the IGN in Realign. And the I is, what is the intuitive pop-up that life wants you to know right now? Now, depending on who I'm speaking with, life could be replaced by love. What does love want you to know? If you choose to see the world through the lens of love, what is that love message right now? What is your intuition? What is your next step in your business? What is your relationship? What is the knowing that the spirit wants you to know about your relationship, about your experience of your life? So that intuitive pop-up is the wisdom that needs to come through you. That was me looking at my iPhone, wanting to record something around my book for this grant. And I listened to that intuitive pop-up, it's going to be about the kids. And so I listened to that. That's the I, the intuitive pop-up. The G in Realign is, what are you grateful for in this moment? Because I believe, as a spiritual practitioner and as a spiritual being, which we all are, I believe that gratitude is the greatest gift that we can practice. And then the N in Realign is, what do you need? What do you need to come back to this again and again? What do you need to feel fulfilled in your life? What do you need to see your life through the lens of love? What do you need to be able to get on that stage and communicate effectively from a place of love so that your message can be heard and you get to hear that my voice matters and their voice matters? So the needs is really difficult because a lot of, I'm going to say specifically women, a lot of women are told that having a need is being needy, and they've been given the imprint and the message that that's not okay. And I'm here to remind people that we all have needs. And if we can't identify our needs, then we're denying ourselves the potential to come back to our wholeness, our completeness, and thrive in our lives. When we can realign, we can move from survive to a place of thrive. So my program is called Realign to Thrive.
That's wonderful. So two things. One is, what would you, because we're running out of time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have you come back and tell me about the story with Wayne Dyer. I'm really
Yeah.
interested in that.
Yeah, for sure.
But what would you like to leave our audience with today that they could benefit from, like from you? And also, I'd love for you to give your information so people can contact you and who want to work with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out here that would love to be connected to you. So
great. Thank you, Dan.
my
I
pleasure.
think the important message that I want people to remember, and I love to share this, is remember you're a miracle. And whatever you're going through, whatever's been done to you, whatever you've done, that's never changed. What's happened is we've been conditioned to forget it. We've got all these layers of conditioning and imprints, and some of it are imprints from our family, from society, from social media, from teachers, that don't even matter, really don't matter. We're all going to leave this earth at some point. And Lisa Nichols says, and I love this, that between the day that you're born and the day that you die is the gap. And what do you want to do with the gap? What do you want to do with your one precious life? And we cannot, I'm going to say should, and I don't usually say shoulds. I don't use should a lot. We cannot, we should not, we must not understand and define the gap from a place of tension. We have to find the gap from a place of relaxation if we want to leave a legacy, which, remember, is a day by day, moment by moment, heart-centered interaction with the world, whatever the world happens to be, your work, yourself, your kids, your partner, whoever it happens to be, your audience. So we need to identify the tension that we're holding. And that's where the Realign practice comes in, because it lets us identify, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I was holding tension. For 32 years of my life, I didn't realize I was holding tension. And a friend of mine, my best friend's husband, called me out. He said, Diana is an ice queen. And that changed my life, because I thought, wow, that is what I'm projecting into the world. I need to go in and explore this. I didn't defend against it. I said, he's right. Why? And that was my spiritual journey that started, and my personal development journey. So I really want people to remember that you're okay. You're okay, and you're going to be okay. Reach out for help if you need help. If you have a message in you, don't die with your message inside you. Share your message. Somebody is waiting to hear your exact message today. And for people to reach me, they can go to my website, dianalockett.com.
This show is brought to you by Mansions and Manors. They are the leading real estate firm in Jamestown, Rhode Island. There's no one quite like Mansions and Manors. They are very supportive, they are like family, and they help you throughout the process. You can reach them directly at 401-423-7000. That's 401-423-7000. Or email them at info@mansionsandmanors.com. Now's a perfect time to find your dream home. Mention that you heard them at Discover Your Potential.
This is Cindy Gilman, and you're listening to Discover Your Potential. So until next time, do something nice for yourself, but do something nice for someone else. In every way,
that man.